implement the school resource officer. They can extra. I put 2 in there, but they should have 4 or 5.
I kind of like that a little. One of the good things about your person is the fact that,
All right, good evening, Farmington Hills.
yeah, I don't like that competition. Oh, okay.
I'd like to call our regular session to order. And I just need one moment, actually. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So calling our regular session meeting to order, October 14th, 2024, regular meeting of the Farmington Hills City Council. And we always begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening, we have some special guests to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The company called RC Merchant and Company is celebrating its 100th anniversary. Congratulations to you. And it is a family-owned business that was one of the first electrical and electronics manufacturers representative companies. And leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening are father, daughter, Brooke and Mallory Merchant. And they are getting ready to name Mallory as the 4th generation president. So if the Merchants would please join us in accepting our congratulations and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you for your continuing investment in our city. Okay, roll call, please.
Council members Aldred.
Here.
Bolaware.
Here.
Bridges.
Here.
Bruce.
Here.
Dwyer.
Here.
Mayor Rich.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay. Agenda item 1, approval of the regular session meeting agenda. Motion, please.
I'll make it.
Yes, Mr. Dwyer.
Support.
Okay, moved by Mr. Dwyer, supported by Ms. Bolaware. This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, that carries. And next, we have a proclamation recognizing November 2024 as Family Court Awareness Month, and it will be read by Dr. Bruce.
Thank you. Whereas the mission of the Family Court Awareness Month Committee, FCAMC, is to increase awareness of the importance of a family court system that prioritizes child safety and acts in the best interest of children. And whereas the mission of the FCAMC is fueled by the desire to create awareness and change in the family court system for the estimated 58,000 children ordered into unsupervised contact with physically or sexually abusive parents each year, while honoring the hundreds of children who have been reported as murdered during visitation with a dangerous parent. And whereas the mission of the FCAMC is to increase awareness of the importance of empirically based education and training on domestic violence, child emotional and psychological abuse, childhood trauma, child sexual abuse, coercive control, and post-separation abuse for all professionals working on cases within the family court system. And whereas the mission of the FCAMC is to increase awareness of the importance of using scientifically valid, evidence-based treatment programs and services that are proven in terms of safety, effectiveness, and therapeutic value. And whereas the mission of the FCAMC is to educate judges and other family court professionals on evidence-based, peer-reviewed research that is a critical component to making decisions that are truly in the best interests of children. Now therefore, Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim November 2024 to be Family Court Awareness Month, and we encourage all residents to support their local communities' efforts to prevent the harm to children in the hands of family members and to honor the lives of children. And I believe accepting it is Lisa from Protective Priority of Michigan. I'm sorry?
Protected parents.
Parent. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Great. There we go. Would you like to say a few words? Thank you. Yeah, would you like to say a few words? Right.
Good evening. My name is Lisa, and I am a member of Protective Parents Michigan. I'm here representing other parents and children who are victims of the family court system and the errors that are happening and causing greater pain for many. I'd like to thank the City of Farmington Hills for acknowledging that child safety should be the priority in the family courts and in custody decisions. 1 in 3 Michigan families are directly impacted by domestic violence. But domestic violence affects each and every one of us in our communities. The health and safety of children and families is directly linked to the well-being and functioning of any community. Proper training on abuse can reduce incidents of domestic violence that may otherwise require more resources to address. When family courts make decisions without proper training on domestic violence, child abuse, and coercive control, it can lead to families needing more social support, putting an extra strain on the local services like abuse shelters, doctor's offices, churches, counseling, law enforcement, school systems, and child protective services. In my case, all of those were involved, and I did everything that I was told I needed to do. We all need to be aware of what happens in family court to keep children safe, because when a woman leaves or makes a decision to leave, their abusive situations often escalate and follows them and their children into the family court system. Post-separation abuse in the family courts puts the children in harm's way because abusive parents are more likely to seek the sole custody and are successful 70% of the time. 7 years, 2 months, and 17 days. That's how long I have been without 3 of 4 of my children, and how long their eldest brother has been without them. I was one of the lucky ones, because many parents have lost their children to death. Many parents are 20 years or more without any knowledge of where their children have been moved to. 60% of perpetrators who abuse their spouse will abuse their child. Adverse childhood experiences such as domestic abuse negatively impacts a child's development, their relationships, their mental health, their physical health, and their academics. Many are denied their lived experiences, and even if the divorced parent escapes the situation, the children are left often being denied their experience and can also be put into mental health facilities because they are denied what has happened, and it affects them dearly. Most child abuse is perpetuated in the family by the parent. Children are 3 times as likely to be shot at home than in mass school shootings. 1 child dies every 6 days amid child custody fights and family court cases. In 2008, 39 Michigan children have been murdered during divorce or custody battles, and that does not even count those children who attempted suicide when forced into the care of their abusive parent, or those who succeeded in suicide. Many of these deaths could have been prevented if the courts considered evidence of past abuse and implemented safe parenting time plans. Research indicates that allegations of child abuse are regularly discounted by the courts when raised in custody cases. In fact, lawyers often will tell a mother, "Do not bring up child abuse, or you will probably lose your children." That's despite a past history with Child Protective Services, the police departments, the school systems, numerous counselors and doctors, all having evidence of the abuse. 1 out of 51 child sexual abuse claims, only 1 out of 51 child sexual abuse claims are believed. This is why we're working in Michigan to bring Caden's Law into play. Caden's Law is focused on prioritizing child protection rights. Caden's Law is named for Caden Mancuso, a 7-year-old girl murdered by her father during court-ordered unsupervised parenting time after the court ignored the father's history of abuse. Caden's Law would provide funding to Michigan to educate judges about all types of abuse, including coercive control and emotional, psychological abuses that leave invisible scars. Judges would need to consider the past history of abuse beyond what they do right now with the 10-point system in the family courts for determining the best interest factors of children. They would have to look at much deeper at the scientifically recognized best practices for determining abuse. We're trying to shed light on family courts so changes can be made to ensure that knowledge about all types are recognized and become an essential part of the family court and custody process so that child safety is always the priority in custody decisions. Our children's lives are literally dependent upon the courts becoming educated on these issues.
Thank you very much for the awareness that you've brought to council this evening.
Thank you. If I can close with one thing, because we want it to be clear why it's important for those in the community to stay involved. This was received by a mother from her child, found in a box, deep in a box, long after she was separated from her children. "Mom, I love you so much. I don't know if I will ever see you again until I'm 18. I'm scared. I need support from people. We are the people."
Thank you again for bringing awareness to council this evening and to our community. This then takes us to this section of the agenda, announcements, presentations from city boards, commissions, and public officials. Item 3, presentation on the Farmington Public Schools millage renewal. Good evening, FPS.
Good evening, Mayor Rich, Manager Mekjen, and the Farmington Hills City Council. Thank you for having us here this evening to talk briefly about our millage renewal that voters will find on the ballot on Tuesday, November 5th. I'm going to, oh, where'd she go? I'm going to turn it, I'm Dr. Kelly Coffin. I'm the interim superintendent at Farmington Public Schools, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Jennifer Kaminsky, our assistant superintendent for business and finance, to share the presentation with you.
All right, good evening. Just to provide a little history of how schools are funded, 30 years ago, Proposal A was approved by the voters here in the state of Michigan. And it did two main things. It significantly reduced property taxes for all taxpayers, and it created a foundation allowance to more equitably fund schools across the state of Michigan. Because Farmington was already at a higher level than this minimum foundation allowance, we were considered a hold harmless district, and we are allowed to ask our residential taxpayers for an operating millage. So as I mentioned, the foundation allowance is how schools are funded. $11,484 per student is what we receive. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right, the foundation allowance. So two of those pieces come from local property taxes. That's the homestead, what we levy on our residential taxpayers, and then the 18 mills that are levied on non-homestead or businesses within the community. So that makes up about $5,300 that comes from local taxpayers here in Farmington and Farmington Hills. The remainder of that comes from the state, about $6,200 per pupil. So just to talk a little bit about how our millage rates are calculated each year, we are asking for a 21 mill authorization for our non-homestead millage rate. We can only levy 18 mills annually. That's the max amount. The state assumes we levy 18 mills on all of our non-homestead taxpayers. And so when the Headley rollback occurs, if we don't have that cushion of, say, 3 mills, we cannot levy that 18 mills as the state is expecting us to. On the homestead side, it is an annual calculation. We collect $1,876 per pupil times our projected enrollment, and that equals the total property taxes to collect. We divide that over taxable value for homestead properties, and that determines the millage rate. That does have to be reviewed and approved by the Department of Treasury each year. So it does fluctuate based on the taxable values. So obviously, the property taxes are a significant piece of our revenue, about 27%, does come from this renewal, and we use it to pay our daily operational expenses, pay staff wages and benefits, and support our instructional programs. It is different from the recently passed bond issue in that can only be used to pay for infrastructure, buses, and technology. Without this millage in place, the district would lose more than $49 million annually, and the state does not make up that shortfall. Again, they assume we levy the property taxes that we say we are going to. Our current millage expires in December 2025. We are asking for a 10-year renewal to ensure that predictability of funding from our local community. And holding a November election represents a significantly reduced cost for us on the election side. If it does not pass this November, we still have an opportunity to go to taxpayers in the following year, August or November. So just some important dates, which I'm sure you're all familiar with: Tuesday, November 5th, and make sure you're registered by October 21st. We have more information on our website. If you click on the millage renewal button, you'll find frequently asked questions along with a short flyer of the information that was just presented. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. We can have the presentation.
Good evening. I have a low-tech presentation for you tonight, flyers, if you don't mind, I'll pass those out.
They just did that. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. I was
Okay.
out of order. The next up was the City of Farmington Hills 2024 road millage renewal. Apologies. Yep. School district, city, county.
Sorry, Chris.
But thank you for being nimble.
We're having our challenges.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
You gave me this? I gave you that one.
Okay.
Okay. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council, and folks that are in the crowd. We're happy this evening to provide some information on two ballot proposals that Farmington Hills voters will see on the ballot in November. Just wanted to real briefly touch on the first one, which is a charter amendment to change the way and the time that our elected officials take office. It's essentially due to recent election law changes that changes the time frame to certify elections. And so could be potentially several weeks after the election. We hope not, Madam Clerk, but it certainly could happen. What ended up happening in 2023 is that kind of was in conflict with our city charter. And so we couldn't seat our newly elected city council, which our charter, I think, essentially says our newly elected city officials take office at the next regularly scheduled city council meeting immediately following the election. We couldn't do that because the election hadn't been certified. No fault of our city council, no fault of our city charter. The state statute had changed. So this particular ballot proposal will change the city charter so that it comes in line with the city or the state statute, so that we don't run into that conflict again. And our city attorney and city clerk have also informed me that whether the state amends the statute or does not amend the statute, the ballot language will work for us either way. correct? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jacob Rushel, our Public Services Director, to talk about our 2024 local public road, actually, it's public road millage. So,
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone, council and mayor. Just a little bit of background on the city's road network and why we're asking for this millage renewal. Overall, in the city of Farmington Hills, we have just over 300 miles of public roads to maintain within the city. Those fall into a few different categories: major roads like 13-mile, 11-mile road, local roads through the neighborhoods, our industrial streets, as well as some gravel roads that we still have throughout the city. Here's just a map overview of the city street network. All of the streets that are owned by the city are the dark kind of black lines. The red lines are owned by the Road Commission for Oakland County, and the purple lines shown there are the interstates or the state highways that are owned by the Michigan Department of Transportation. So currently, city road funding comes from a few different sources. One of the main sources we have is the State Road Revenue Act, Act 51, that was passed, that's passed on to the city from the state. That primarily comes from fuel taxes you pay at the gas pump, along with registration fees for vehicle licensing. That money really takes care of things like general operation, snow plowing, patching of potholes, crack sealing, things of the like. We also do have some opportunities once in a while to apply for federal and state grants. Those are never guaranteed, but we do try our best to always get those funds when they do become available to us for any of our qualifying public road projects. What we have currently is the 2014 road millage that's here expiring. That's the millage is up for renewal. That's 2.0 mills. That primarily goes towards major roads right now. It can go to both local roads and major roads, but over the last 10 years, it primarily went towards our major road improvements. And then we also have the 2018 road millage, which is 2.75 mills. That's a perpetual millage that replaced our previous special assessment district process for rehabilitation and reconstruction of neighborhood and local roads. So over the last 9 years, and mentioning the 2014 road millage that was passed by the voters back just about 10 years ago, this map shows the progress that we've made using that road funding. All the dark blue lines on the map are roads that have been improved since that time using the proceeds from that road millage. So making good progress, but still more to do, as you can see from our next slide here, showing the 300 miles of road that we have, a different mixture of materials on those roadways, and then a system called the PASER rating, which is the Pavement Surface and Evaluation Rating System, how we rate the conditions of our roads so we know which roads need to be done for repairs. So just over 100 miles, 106 miles of roads, even with the progress we've made over the last 10 years, are still considered to be in poor condition, which is a PASER rating of less than 4 or less. So still work to be done. Here's a map that just shows that PASER rating system throughout the city. Red lines are the red highlighted roads are the poor condition. The orange ones are considered fair condition, and the green lines are in good condition. So overall, the proposed public roads millage would be, as I said, a renewal of what was passed in 2014. It's the same 2.0 mills that were approved by the voters 10 years ago. We anticipate this will generate approximately $9 million annually towards road funding. It'll help us maintain that progress that we've built over the last 10 years toward improving our road conditions on all of our city-owned public roads. That'll help improve safety for pedestrians and motorists alike. It'll help reduce wear and tear on all of our vehicles that we drive every day through the city streets. Help us keep the city a desirable location to live, work, and do business, which are important factors in making those decisions. Is road network is one of those factors. And then finally, improving property curb appeal and continuing to improve property values are, again, factors that are impacted by road conditions. The quick overview of financial impact to the residents and what could be expected. As we said, this is the same 2.0 mills that was approved 10 years ago. It's a renewal. The average sale price for a home in Farmington Hills, we anticipate will be approximately $360,000 in 2025 based on where we're at this year, with a taxable value of $120,000. So to determine that cost for the average home, doing the math equates to about $240 annually for the average home in the city of Farmington Hills. And there's the ballot language, as you will see it on the ballot on November 5th, or in the 9 days of early election, or a absentee ballot if you have one of those. But there's the language on the ballot, and there's our contact information if there are any questions or residents that want to reach out to us later. And I did bring some flyers as well. I can set those on the table over there by the door on the road millage, and then I do have some as well on the terms of office ballot proposal that's also for the charter amendment. So I'll leave those over there. If anyone in the audience wants to grab something to take home and read later, our contact information is also on here as well, and we'd be happy to talk to anyone who has questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. In your presentation, your taxable value was at $120,000, and it was the price of a home was $360,000. 50% of that is going at $180,000. How did you arrive at 120 for that number?
That was derived by a finance director. I did not have input in that calculation.
Typically, the taxable value is 50% of that price you set of the home, so it'll be 180. Okay. Second point is I wanted to make to you regarding in the Heritage Hills area. We've talked about this and talked to the city manager about this as well regarding some deterioration occurring on the concrete road that was paved in Farmington in the Heritage Hills area. Can you give the council an update regarding some surface deterioration of Old Timber Road, where we're at in that process, negotiating with the contractor who did that work there? As you know, voters in Farmington Hills has been very, very generous in approving road millages in Farmington Hills, and they want a good return on investment for their taxpayers' dollars. Yep. So can you provide council an update in regards to what's going on with that road there on Old Timber Road, where we see deterioration of that concrete, only been there for about a year and a half, and, and where we're at in negotiation with the contractor?
Certainly, thank you. Just a little more information on what the Mayor Pro Tem is referring to. So there's a occurrence on the surface of wearing surface of concrete roads that's been occurring over the last few years based on regulatory changes of air quality and carbon reduction footprint in the process of Portland cement. When that change happened, there was an unintended consequence towards how concrete cures and that process, that chemical process that goes through in curing. What's happened is when the concrete's poured in cold weather climate, certain conditions, too much water, the surface, kind of that creamy surface that gets spread out and nice and smooth and even on the surface, starts to flake off, kind of just becomes brittle. It's not a structural defect, it's an aesthetic defect. What happens is the road surface, you can see more of the stone and aggregate in the top of that surface. So it appears to be a little bit rougher. We've been following with the Michigan Concrete Association on this, talking to MDOT, talking to other agencies of what's going on. We've been involved with discussions with other communities. So what we've been putting in place on our projects now is an admixture that helps control that curing process. We have a pilot project right now on our concrete roads that we've been putting in. There's 5 different admixtures that we've been using on our concrete roads to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future, that we keep that nice smooth surface on the concrete. In reference to the projects that have already occurred, and the Mayor Pro Tem is correct, we are following up with the contractors and with the attorney's office on what we can do, if anything, to talk to that contractor on warranty issues or the like on the appearance and finish of that concrete road. At this time, I don't have any further updates since the last time we spoke about this topic, but it's something that we're certainly still investigating to find out what we can do.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, because residents in that area that live in that area, I have talked to me about that, and they're concerned about that. And I appreciate you would continue to update council regards to negotiation with that contractor regarding how we're going to correct that situation there.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Thank Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe that most, if not all, on City Council received email correspondence from a resident, Mr. DeWard, wanting some clarification on the definition of public streets or public roads in our city and where the proceeds of these tax dollars would go if the ballot proposal passes for the road millage renewal. And I just want folks to know that there's a difference between private roads and public roads in the city of Farmington Hills. There are many developments in our community that are, have been developed. You can think about site condos. A lot of our site condos in our city live on, those folks reside on private roads. All tax dollars that will be collected as part of this road millage proposal, or renewal, I should say, the proceeds will be spent only on public streets. And those are typically, if your street has a green sign on it, those are typically our public streets. So just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I did have a question. You know, since the road millage was initially passed, do we know how many miles of roads that we've been able to repair, reconstruct since that period of time?
Yes, we do have that number. Unfortunately, I don't have it memorized, but I can certainly follow up with council and provide that to you.
Yeah, and then the second statement is if individuals wanted to get information on the road renewal, is that information available on our website? Can they go on our website and read that information?
Yes, there is information available on the website. For anyone that's watching that wants to find information later, you can certainly find that on our website.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? All right, then we will now go to item 5, presentation on the Oakland County Parks and Recreation millage. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Appreciate you sharing a little time with me tonight. Chris Ward, I'm Director of Oakland County Parks and Recreation. Been in this position about 3 years. I won't say it's the best job I ever had because I happened to work for then County Commissioner Bill Dwyer a few years ago. So it's a good job, though. Appreciate this chance to share a little bit about the Oakland County Parks and Rec millage. I do have a flyer that hopefully made its way down the table. Went a little low-tech tonight. It can be difficult to get the word out about a proposal like this in a county as big as Oakland. And of course, you know, there's a lot pulling on the attention of voters right now. As I often say, it's hard to get people talking about building dog parks when people are talking about eating dogs. So, thank you. Yeah. So any help that you can offer to help get the word out into the residents here as well about this proposal would be much appreciated. And it's really nice to be here in Farmington Hills, especially because I know this is a community that really values recreation and has a well-deserved reputation for being a creative innovator in this field and making big investments. And we're excited about the opportunities that if this proposal is successful, it will be opened up for us to partner more with you and to find opportunities to benefit all of our taxpayers by working together. Just a little bit about Oakland County Parks and Recreation. We are 100% self-funded organization. We don't get county funding from the county government. We were formed in 1966. There's a property tax millage that provides about 70% of our funding, and the remaining amount is mostly user fees. We are governed by a bipartisan commission of elected officials and citizens. So we're sort of part of the county government, but we're an enterprise that is required to be totally self-supporting. So 100% of the dollars that voters provide to us through their property tax goes right back into Parks and Recreation and our programs and facilities. We were formed in 1966 at a time when the county was growing dramatically. County grew by 30% in the decade of the 1960s, and so midway through they had the wisdom to take some action to save land before it was lost. And as a result of the creation of Oakland County Parks, thousands of acres of land, especially found in the north and the west side of the county, were saved. If you've been to a park with the last name Oaks, that's one of ours. Independence Oaks, Addison Oaks, etc. And we've also acquired some great recreational facilities, including Glen Oaks here in Farmington Hills on 13 Mile over the years. We've done a lot of things that we're very proud of, but we also see opportunities to make some big improvements as well, which is really kind of the primary reason why I'm here before you tonight with this proposal. You know, the challenges that we feel were in opportunities for us to do a better job. So besides the fact that we have all this wonderful parkland, it happens to be sort of concentrated in other parts of the county than South Oakland County and communities like Farmington Hills. 94% of our park acreage is located where 20% of the people of the county live. Yeah, but 100% of the taxpayers of the county provide the tax that supports us. So there's a problem there that we need to do more to be more, to provide better benefit to the taxpayers and communities like Farmington Hills and especially South Oakland County and Southeast Oakland County. If we keep our narrow focus to just our parks, you know, we kind of get in this situation where we're more working as competition than collaborators with local communities. And we're not stepping up to some of the opportunities for where there a little bit more county services and resources could make a big difference. For instance, the countywide trail system or developing access to the major rivers in the county we see as great opportunities. Really, there isn't any action being taken at the countywide level right now to save green space and to take the plan for green infrastructure development and convert it into action when those issues can cross municipal boundaries. One issue that we have faced over time that has created a lot of problems is we have basically a broken system for how we finance capital improvements. I've got about $160 million in capital improvements assets in our system that has depreciated down to about $50 million. And we pay for those projects out of cash right now because of the limited duration of our millage, which is a little bit insane when you see that the county has a AAA bond rating and an opportunity to borrow money and finance projects over time. So what that's done is really kind of eliminated our ability to deal with big issue capital project needs, especially as those things that were built in the 1970s start to age. So, you know, we have been presented with an opportunity with the American Rescue Plan Act to take a positive step in a good new direction. We recently entered into partnerships with several communities that have allowed us to expand their county park system into new areas of the county. We will be revitalizing parks and sustaining these projects over the long term through long-term operating agreements in the city of Pontiac. Just next door in the city of Southfield, the former 9-hole golf course there at Beechwoods. We are taking that on, and we're going to be developing a nature preserve there. We've also been leaning in quite a bit in communities that don't have the resources to, you know, apply for grants and to administer projects. So in Hazel Park and Royal Oak Township, we've just recently built new playgrounds for them. And overall, what we've seen is it's pretty small investments in the big scheme of things can make big impacts. But unfortunately, the rescue plan, as you all know, is a one-time funding opportunity. So how do you carry the positive momentum forward? And how do you deal with some of these other underlying issues that have been holding back recreation in the county? And that's really where we came forward with this proposal that I'm here to talk to you about tonight. So what it is Oakland County Parks has a millage that is authorized at 0.35 mils right now. We're seeking to replace it with a millage at 0.65 mils. It's right now set to expire in 2029. We'd like to make that a 20-year millage. Again, the purpose of the 20-year millage is to allow us to access the county's AAA bond rating to finance large projects. That'll bring in about $24 million a year. 50% of that we want to reinvest back into updating outdated facilities, especially facilities that are requiring quite a bit of taxpayer subsidization to operate that are underutilized. And I will give you an example of Waterford Oaks Water Park. I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Waterford Oaks Water Park. It's been a staple in Oakland County for many, many years. In the last decade, because of this issue we have with financing capital projects, we took out several of the big features there that really fundamentally made it a water park, and now it's just a wave pool. So attendance has dropped 80% as a result of that. And despite this being the hottest year on record, we had the lowest attendance in record this year. And it is a $400,000 subsidy every year to continue to operate, which basically works out to $33 per visit. Subsidy would be cheaper for us to give people a gift certificate to Great Wolf Lodge than to come to the water park. But this is a problem we can't solve right now because this is a project that will cost $10 million or more to either update it or replace it with something new. And so, we want to have a $100 million bond to just update our aging facilities and bring them up into the 21st century. The other half, we want to invest in partnerships with local governments. Again, we're excited by the opportunities that may be available for us to work with Farmington Hills. And also to invest for the first time into the countywide trail system. Recently in Rochester, storm washed out a whole section of the trail there, and the community is being faced with a $2.5 million project to reopen the trail there. So this is an example where if we had some capital funding to help a community, it could make a big difference and eliminate delays in getting projects like that reopened. We want to also, as I mentioned earlier, focus on opening up access to the rivers in the county. I think there's great opportunities to get people onto the Rouge River on this side of Oakland County. Break down barriers to access and reactivate underutilized spaces. And then finally, we also want to start spending some money on green space preservation, the green stormwater infrastructure, trees, and rebuilding the native landscape in the county that will help us build that resilience that we'll need in the future as we continue to see the impacts of climate change. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if that's appropriate.
Council, anything that you would like to ask?
I have a quick question. Thank you. So what percentage of your budget is spent on the South Oakland part of that, South Oakland of your county? I mean, since the population is primarily densely in the South Oakland area,
yeah.
I need to know what funding, what percentage of the funding goes to South Oakland area?
Well, I can tell you how many parks we have in South Oakland County. The breakdown of the budget, off the top of my head, I can't give that to you, but I can tell you, we recognize that it's out of balance right now.
Out of balance?
Yeah, it's very much.
How long has it been out of balance?
Well, we have been around almost 60 years, and this is our way of starting to get on a better pathway while protecting the legacy of what we've acquired over the years when, frankly, the politics of the county were, weighted in a different direction.
I understand that.
And so, as I mentioned with ARPA, we've been trying to make great leaps forward. We recognize that we can't deal with the problems of the past and pivot to the needs of being more representative of the whole county without more revenue right now. So I can get you that, Councilman. I can get you that breakdown, but I'm going to tell you it's very out of balance.
Thank you for the recognition of that, because it's critical that the South Oakland area residents get the benefit of those tax dollars just as much as the northern part of the county.
Absolutely.
And do you have any specific projects you're planning for the South Oakland area regarding this $52 million in the next couple of years?
Well, I would say we've had some great conversations with the city manager and your great Parks and Rec team here about potential partnerships. And that's how we really want to try to approach this as much as possible, is working with local governments. It's really not likely or practical for us to develop our own park in the city of Farmington Hills. There's land, that opportunity was decades ago. So we can get a lot more done when we work together with you. And that's how we would like to approach it. As I mentioned, we have the park in Southfield that we are developing. We also have a portion of Shepherd Park in the city of Oak Park that we're developing. So both of those are going to receive a total of $6+ million.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate the recognition that the South Oakland area has not received the type of attention from that millage in the past, and you recognize that, and I appreciate that, and we'd like to see additional investments in the South Oakland area where most of the taxpayers live at. Thank you.
Dr. Bruce?
Similar to what Mr. Bridges asked, so we're going from, I think you said 0.35 to 0.67 mils.
6.5.
6.5. So that's an increase of just under 90%, I believe, in terms of a jump in the tax rate, which is pretty substantial, you know, in terms of a jump. So I know you've talked about South Oakland, but do you see any or foresee any projects in Farmington Hills itself in terms of
Yes.
upgrades, new parks, or what do you foresee in our city itself? Because if taxpayers here ask me, you know, what am I getting for my money for this almost, you know, doubling of a tax rate? What are we going to see in our city for this? Because I'm interested in how much money is coming back to our taxpayers here. It's great that, you know, things are happening in Southfield and Waterford, but I want our tax dollars to come back here and not us being a donor city again for another reason, you know, like we are with so many other things in the city.
Yeah, understood, Councilman. So on a percentage basis, I hear where you're coming from. On an actual dollar basis, because it's countywide, a relatively small percentage of millage can bring in quite a bit of money. So for a $300,000 home, the impact would be $45 a year. So, but your point is well taken. I don't want to get too far ahead of the conversations we've had with city leadership here, but we've talked about, you know, something along the lines of a $4 million investment, and that could come in the form of many different approaches. And we've chatted about either potentially some investments focused on Heritage Park or investments focused on the Hawk. But the commitment is there. I mean, I'm old school this way. If I give you my commitment, I'm going to follow through and get something done. I'm telling you that our commitment would be to make that investment of at least $4 million if this in the city of Farmington Hills.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 6, presentation of the 2024 Farmington Area Arts Awards.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Schnackle. I'm the Director of Special Services. The City of Farmington Hills Department of Special Services, Cultural Arts Division, and the Farmington Area Arts Commission were proud to announce the winners of the annual Farmington Area Arts Awards on Saturday, September 28th at the Hawk Black Box Theater. The awards honor contributions of local artists, arts organizations, businesses, and volunteers that encourage creativity in our community. Winners of the 2024 Farmington Area Arts Awards included Debbie Lim, the 24-25 Farmington Area Artist in Residence, which this award actually dates back to 1976. Also a winner was Craig Nowak, who was a recipient of the Nancy Commodores Distinguished Service to the Arts Award. Peter Brandel, a senior at Farmington High School, recognized as the winner of the new Youth Art Award. Richard Adams, selected as Arts Volunteer of the Year. And a number of local organizations and businesses were also recognized for their efforts to encourage creativity in the community, including Kickstart Farmington, Art Pack Services, Skep Space, and Apothecary Espresso and Coffee.
Okay, thank you very much. I know Ms. Boulware is our liaison for the Arts Commission. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, again, congratulations to all the winners at that event. We're very fortunate to have a very large and supportive art community in our city. Many of the council members, including I think the mayor, served on the Art Commission at one time or the other throughout the years. And so art is very important, whether it's visual arts or the spoken word or music. I know there was a period of time in City Hall here in which all of our art had to be taken down for a period of time. And it was such a stark contrast to what we were used to. So it means a lot to have art as part of a community. I'd like to also say that these art awards are based on nominations from our residents here in Farmington and Farmington Hills, because it's a joint art commission. And we're taking nominations for 2025 recipients. And you can go on our our website for the city and get the application from there to nominate. It's very important that we nominate individuals for this award. Those who are either an artist or supporter of the arts, a company that has an influence on the arts, it's important that we recognize them and let them know how important they are to the fabric of our community.
Thank you. And are any of our awardees here this evening? Yeah. Would you please come up to the microphone and just say a quick hello and what you were recognized for, please?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Molly McNeese, and I am one of the artists at Skep Space, which is an artist incubator of artists who rent studio space in the house right across the street from Dearborn Music. So if you have not been in the house, we're open on Saturdays now from about 10 to 4 p.m., 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the new gallery that's been in there for about a year is called the Honeycomb Gallery because a skep is a beehive. And so the Honeycomb Gallery is the fruit of all the hard work. We have over 50 local artists now that are represented, anything from painting to glass blowing to photography, jewelry. So this would be a really great place for Christmas items for on your shopping list. But the most important thing we do is give back to the community. So we've been involved in Heart the Art, raising money for downtown Farmington, and we have Visions, which is our special needs students from Farmington and Farmington Hills, and we've had them work with their instructors on coming to our gallery and helping with inventory and sales and greeting the guests there and people who are the collectors. So if you're not an artist, you certainly can collect art from our local artists. So we really humbly accept the award and are very, very proud of the work that we're doing and continue to do.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Debbie Lim, and I am the 2024/25 Resident Artist in Residence Award winner. I have the whole year to plan with the city, to get with the community, to take people out, doing photography, getting to know nature better. I am an artist in all medias, and I'm a photographer, but I specialize in feng shui and wildlife. So I'm the one that lets you see through my eyes, and hopefully you'll see through your own eyes in your own backyard and your own community. That's what I'm here for this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wish you a good year. This then takes us to correspondence. Any members of council have correspondence they would like to share? Okay. Then that takes us to the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered routine, administrative, or non-controversial by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the items may be removed from the consent agenda for consideration. They will be read by the mayor pro tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 9, recommended approval of acceptance of grant funding for the Institute for Responsive Government, Nonpartisan, a More Responsive Government 2024 grant program in the amount of $60,000 and authorization of the city clerk to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. Item 10, recommend approval of resolution recognizing North Farmington Basketball as a nonprofit organization operating in the community for the purpose of obtaining a charitable gaming license. Item 11, recommend approval of a special event permit for North Farmington High School Homecoming Parade to be held on Friday, October 25th, 2024. Item 12, recommend approval of a request for employment under Section 10.01A of the City Charter for a youth center site supervisor. Item 13, recommend approval of purchase of a 2024 Groudal XL 3100 Series V rubber tire excavator with the attachments to AIS construction equipment in the amount of $514,542.12. Item 14, recommend approval of award of bid for printing and mailing for the Special Services Activities Guide to Indiana Printing and Publishing Company, Incorporated, in the amount of $83,906.52 annually for a 2-year period, with optional renewal. Item 15, recommend approval of award of bid for the Hawk Golf Simulator project for 2 simulators with service warranty to Soundcheck Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $114,400. Item 16, recommended approval of award of bid for the purchase and installation of water heaters, pumps, and plumbing material for the ice arena and fire station headquarters to Thomas Lane Plumbing in the amount of $52,184. Item 17, recommended approval of purchase of 2 replacement vehicles for the police department to Longhammer Ford in the amount of $103,136. Item 18, recommend approval of City Council Planning Commission Special Study Session Meeting Minutes of September 16, 2024.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
Two more.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, 2 more? Oh, let me get those. I didn't see them. Let me get that. Oh, I want next page. Got it. All right. Thank you for that alert. Item 19, recommend approval of City Council Study Session Meeting Minutes for September 23rd, 2024. Item 20, recommended approval of City Council Regular Session Meeting Minutes of September 23rd, 2024.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yes.
Ms. Fuller.
Yes, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items 9 through 20 as read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, we have a motion and support by Mr. Aldred. Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Council members Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
and Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, this then takes us to council member comments and announcements. Anyone?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor.
We'll just go down the line.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, as council may remember, up until the end of 2023, we had an Innovation, Energy and Environmental Sustainability Committee that timed out. And so on March 4th, City Council approved the resolution for establishing an Innovation, Energy, Environmental Sustainability Ad Hoc Subcommittee to investigate what we should do moving forward. I just wanted to give an update this evening with Mayor Rich and myself on that subcommittee. And so since March, the subcommittee has met 3 times. We've had some good meetings, engagement with the community. In fact, the last meeting, we had a representative from the U.S. Department of Energy, Office of Community Engagement, which was quite interesting, talking about grant opportunities that may be helpful for the city. And so we have one final meeting scheduled for November. And then after that time, we'll be ready to come back to council with a recommendation. Just to give an update.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Mr. Dwyer? Ms. Bolaware?
Yes. I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Chief King and the police officers on the way they handled an active shooter event on September 15th. On that day, early on the Sunday morning, there was an active shooter in the 12-mile and Middle Belt area in which 2 kids were trapped in this home during this incident. And during this period of time, it was just a horrible situation. Gunshots, multiple gunshots fired, police cars fired at. By the grace of God, there were no police injured because some of the shots just barely grazed their heads or bodies. Many of you may have seen the video of the incident, either on television or on YouTube, but it was horrendous. But I am so thankful for our public safety and our police department under Chief King and our police officers, the way they handled that event with such professionalism and compassion. The neighborhood was terrified. It was a very scary event, but they managed to bring it to conclusion without anyone dying, and I thank them for that. And following that incident, the community, they were so traumatized and had so many questions that they asked for a community forum with our police chief and Chief King and his sergeant, I think it's Kerr Santee, came out for a couple of hours, answered the questions, allayed people's fears, let them know that, we do live in a safe city. The police is only a telephone call away, and it really allayed a lot of the members' fears. But out of that, we were, some of us on council were talking, and it was just determined that there were two things that we thought needed further work. And one was our Farmington Hills alert system. There was a glitch, really due to human error, and the alert did not go out as it was expected. And so council, and along with city administration, is going to look at that alert system to find out or to determine if there's a better alert system, what could we do better to prevent that situation from occurring in the future. And the second thing was, after the shooter incident, what is our policy? What services can the city offer or referrals? So Councilman already agreed to bring that up in the Emergency Preparedness Commission for them to come up with some best practices. And I have put it on the agenda for the Community Health Commission best practices about what we can do, be it mental health or whatever services that we need to provide our residents after an emergency situation of that kind. But again, I'd like to thank you, Chief King, and your staff for the work that was done, the professionalism and the heroism, really,
Yes.
for getting those two trapped kids out of that horrible situation. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bruce?
Sure. I would just want to congratulate the city staff on a wonderful open house that we had. I think it was just a little over a week ago. It was a beautiful day. I think many city departments there were represented and put on great demonstrations, including police and fire. Very informative things that the citizens were able to see and do, including getting to meet our current and new canine officers. They were really cute. It was, I think, a job well done by everybody, and just want to say thanks for all the hard work that went into that. I know it's a lot, and it really showed, because I think it was a really nice event. It came off very, very well.
Thank you. Mr. Bridges, anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple things. I echo your comments about the citywide open house. What a great day. So mark your calendars for next October to come join us again. I'd like to give congratulations to the Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's, which had its soft opening. They will be open officially in the spring, and it was really interesting to hear from them. We asked them, why did you choose Farmington Hills? And their comment was they look at, in the 30 minutes surrounding their location on Northwestern Highway, there are 2.7 million people just within that little range, just within that range. And among those 2.7 million are 8,000 people who have Parkinson's, and that number is only expected to grow. And so it's wonderful to see this facility coming in. A number of us, Dr. Bruce and I and some city staff, were at an opening for Mind neurological practice on Orchard Lake Road this last week, and they're opening a new headache specific facility. And it's, so what we're seeing is more and more medical opening up in our city and becoming more of a destination. And as we see OCC shifting its offerings on the Orchard Ridge campus to more medical and high tech, I think we're going to be seeing even more of that, which is very exciting for the future of our city. Wanted to give a congratulations on 25th anniversary to the My India organization. There are so many different parts of Indian heritage amongst our residents. And what My India does is bring together all of the various and sundry subcultures that have Indian heritage. And they just had a marvelous event at the Meridian yesterday. Finally, there will be a Walk the Hawk event tomorrow at noon on the track at the Hawk. Anyone who wants to join me and whatever council members are coming along with, just to have some informal conversation, let us hear what's on your mind. Look forward to seeing you. We'll walk for about 45 minutes or so, or until we get too cold or too hot. So hope to see people there tomorrow. And that then takes us to our city manager comments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just wanted to take a moment to invite folks to the Veterans Day luncheon that is scheduled, of course, on the 11th month, the 11th day of the 11th hour. So it'll be November 11th at 11 a.m. at the Costic Center. You may register for that event by emailing Marcia Coet at M as in Michael, KOET @fhgov.com, right? Yep. I also want to let the public know that on November 4th and 5th, City Hall will be closed for all business except for election-related business. So we're expecting an awful large turnout here at City Hall as part of the election activities. You can come here actually during our business hours, and if you haven't registered to vote, come on out, register to vote. You can get an absentee ballot right here, and you can vote right here, and you can put it right in the slot. So plenty of opportunities for folks to vote in the general election this year. And I also wanted to piggyback on Councilmember Bolaware's comments about our police officers. And this afternoon, there was an additional press release, an updated press release that went out. And I'm just going to read this because I'll screw it up if I don't. Following the suspect's initial arraignment on October 3rd, Farmington Hills Police Department continued its investigations into this incident and presented additional information to the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. This information led to authorization of an additional 6-count felony warrant against the suspect for attempting to murder Farmington Hills police officers during the original incident. So I want to say big congratulations to our police department for that additional investigation. The additional additional charges include 3 counts. Come on, device. Three counts of assault with intent to murder and 3 counts of felony firearms. And I apologize, I missed the opportunity to share my greatest thanks to our police department as well at our last city council meeting. So we are extremely proud of our Farmington Hills police officers who skillfully use their training and tactics to safely end the violent situation without any physical, I say physical because some of our officers did have some psychological post-traumatic stress issues that we're working through right now, but physical injuries to our officers and civilians in the area. So kudos to Chief King and our police department. Thank you very much. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. This takes us to item 7, public hearing. Public hearing in consideration of adoption of a resolution to vacate right-of-way on Rexwood Street from Greening Street to Highview Avenue and a portion of Fordison Road east of Greening Street in Section 2. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Rich and City Council members. My name's Tammy Gushert. I'm one of the senior engineers with the Department of Public Services. Before you tonight is a vacation request for portions of 3 platted right-of-ways that are located south of Northwestern Highway and east of Orchard Lake Road in Section 2, as Mayor Rich had indicated. Back in February of 2024, City Council approved the PUD agreement for the Emerson development. As a part of this agreement, the property owner is required to vacate those portions of the right-of-way that are platted and impacted by their proposed development. The property owner who has requested this vacation, as required by the PUD agreement, does currently own all the parcels which are abutting to these public rights-of-way. Prior to the vacation of this right-of-way, City Code requires a public hearing, which we are holding tonight. Property owners within 300 feet of the proposed vacation have also been notified, advising them of this public hearing tonight so that they can come out and voice their comments or concerns. In addition to this, city staff also contacted multiple public and private agencies that may have interest in that right-of-way in order to obtain their input and comments. Several agencies do have existing infrastructure within these rights-of-way, however, have indicated that they have no objection to the vacations, provided that a full-width easement is maintained so that they can properly maintain their existing infrastructure. Based upon our review and input from these agencies, we are recommending the approval of the right-of-way vacation, subject to a full-width utility easement being retained. So at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions, as well as representatives from the Emerson Development who are also here tonight.
Okay. Questions from council? Okay. Hearing none, then I will open the public hearing. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one rushing forward, the public hearing is now closed, and I'm looking for a motion, please. Yes, Dr. Bruce.
Yes, Mayor, I would make the motion for the adoption of a resolution to vacate right-of-way on Rexwood Street from Greening Street to Highview Avenue on the portion of Fordson Road east of Greening Street in Section 2, CMR 102499.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, motion and support. This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Item 8, unfinished business. Consideration of approval of the enactment of ordinance C-8-2024 to amend the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances to amend Chapter 19, Parks and Recreation, Article 3, Rules and Regulations, Section 19-51, Animals Prohibited, for purposes of allowing dogs in Pioneer Park and the city's dog park, and adding an exception for service animals, and approval of summary for publication. Council comments? We had, this is the second reading and therefore enactment. Is there a motion, please? Mr. Aldred.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the enactment of Ordinance C-8-2024 to amend the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances to amend Chapter 19, Parks and Recreation, Article 3, Rules and Regulations, Section 1951, Animals Prohibited, for purposes of allowing dogs in Pioneer Park and the city's dog park, and adding an exception for service animals, and approval of summary for publication.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, we have motion and support. This is a roll call vote.
Council members Dwyer,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, this then takes us to public comments. So public comments are limited to 3 minutes for any item of city business not on the agenda. For those who may be new to public comment, this is the opportunity for the public to come and speak to us. This is not a back and forth or a dialogue. People coming to provide public comment will have 3 minutes uninterrupted to speak, and at that point, your time is complete. And if you have interest in speaking, we have received a number of blue cards. We require a blue card to please be submitted. As we begin public comment, we did receive an email public comment, which will be made part of the record, that was provided to us by an email by Julie Lipson regarding the Costic Senior Center, and so you will see this in the minutes. That then takes us to M. Khan. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Over the past several months, the Farmington Hills public have put up with numerous rowdy, sometimes threatening demonstrations from pro-Hamas protesters making demands of this city council regarding an international issue. And the council was ready to capitulate until the public insisted on neutrality. Last week, it is likely that these same people, during the Jewish High Holy Days of Atonement, threw packets of vile, demeaning flyers with ancient anti-Semitic tropes onto the driveways of Jewish and non-Jewish residents of this city, as well as numerous other cities from the northern suburbs to downriver. Now, as a people, we Jews are pretty thick-skinned after thousands of years of similar and worse actions. But as a city council, I think it is your duty to denounce this ugly, threatening action taken towards your Jewish constituents and give updates so that we know the investigation continues to a conclusion. I'm sure that if this had been an LGBTQ or BLM matter, we would have heard from you by now. I've done an online search and find nothing from any city councils involved, just statements on October 6th from the involved police departments. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and believe that there was a discussion among yourselves regarding this hideous action. I would like to hear why there's not been a statement from the city council assuring your Jewish residents that they are safe and they are important and an integral member of the Farmington Hills community. I know, as you stated, that council doesn't normally respond to community comments, but an explanation from the council president is warranted. And I think I have a little time left, possibly. Never mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Patricia Hansen. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I was at the meeting tonight at the Caustic Center, and I do appreciate you coming to the meeting. I think we're kind of taken back. We thought there'd be more discussion actually on the Caustic Center and not an agenda where you were taking a tour, and it was very short-lived. But to guide your consultants to understand the wants and needs at the Caustic Center, a question and answer session would be very valuable. To keep that session at a reasonable size, the sessions could be broken up into different categories in regards to your food service, your recreation, all your services that provide, and this way it won't be such an overwhelming presentation to the City Council and everybody else involved. If the goal is to build a new building, as was through your first consulting company, why not build a new center in front of the Caustic Center now? You have all that property that is there. To move the seniors to the Hawk would be very devastating to them. The traffic pattern, the parking, the accessibility for them to go to the different programs would really discourage and dissuade your seniors, I shouldn't say seniors, 50-plus members into attending any programs that were going to be at the Hawk. It's just, as they presented tonight, it's a community for your 50-plus. There are so many activities. I'm with the Alzheimer's support group. I go to the luncheons. I play pickleball 4 days a week. I do the exercise classes. There is so much that this city can offer to their 50-plus residents that it really needs to have its separate building and not an attachment to the Hawk. Where the first consultants talked about building a new building that would have a pool and a gym. What happens to Meals on Wheels? They were talking about merging that with Southfield. And they talked about putting the seniors programs on the 3rd floor, which is not really accessible to most of your seniors. So we do need a one-level floor that is absolutely dedicated to your 50-plus community. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, please, bring it up to the clerk, please. Next up, Angie Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I have a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Mayor Teresa Rich, Randy Bruce, and Jackie Bolaware for last Sunday for supporting me with the African American Leadership Award at the DIA. But not only am I thanking them because Mayor Rich was there, but I also want to thank Councilmember Bridges who has had support from me for decades, and has always seen a vision in me. So I want to thank you on that. The other thing I want to also thank you for is bridging the gap and extending the olive branch with Farmington Public Schools as a school board member. Thank you for countless conversations with Councilmember Aldred, Dwyer, Bolware, all of you. I don't have to name each and every one of you. You extended an olive branch, but I want to get the record straight. This was nothing that you all had done. This was something that was done under former leadership, and our former mayor, Vicki Barnett, reached out and wanted to do the work to fix this. This was not under former Mayor Sarah Bauman. This is nothing that happened with any of you. So I want to thank you, because when our schools fail, our city fails. So with that being said, am I the listener? Yes, but not many do. And so now under the current leadership, you will see a change, and you will see a change in the work that we all will be doing together. I want to thank Vicki Barnett and Sam Stekeloff for their support as well, trying to do this on numerous things. The final thing I want to say is thank you to many of you that I've had the conversation with. We all know that Heartland is closing. With the dynamics in our community, we need a market that will, because when I moved here, it was Crowley's. That was 27 years ago. But we need a market that will take care of our ethnic diversity and bring in food. So Mayor Rich and Councilwoman Bolaware and Mr. Bruce have worked with me to figure out what we're going to do to bring those foods into our stores. As an African-American Latino woman, I'd like to continue to see things that go into my market. So I want to thank all of you for your support on that issue. And again, thank you. That award was not for me. It was for the city of Farmington Hills and the 15,555 people that voted for me. There were 9 nominees, and I got the award. So many have received that, Coleman Young Jr., John Conyers, and several. So thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. PG.
Good evening, Council. At the last council meeting, I talked about the behavior. We are living in a society where everyone seems to be upset. We're fighting constantly lies, disinformation in the public, and other sorts of propaganda. Thank you, City Manager Gary Magian, for giving a shout out to the police department and what they did and how they handled that particular matter, to the point that some of the officers are experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder because of a situation like that. So this is exactly why we don't need to have any one of our elected officials disrespecting or disparaging our police chief or any of our public safety officers, including fire. They deal with so much. We know now from everything that we're dealing with that there's nothing common about a police stop now, because in a moment's notice, it could turn into something totally different. So there's no more normal police stops. What I hope that we don't allow is for people to come to this podium and disparage our police, to lie about police officers, to lie about police officers in other areas, and just know when something is propaganda. When someone continues to come up to the podium and say disparaging things about our police, we know it's for a particular reason. And it seems like our public safety has become targets for lawsuits just because people need money. People want money for certain things, and everybody is trying to sue a police officer for police brutality. And you know because you've participated in a lot of those forums where they talked about what to do when you get stopped by a police officer. And those things are very crucial to the police stop to not go wrong because of miscommunication. So we need to learn the dialogue of these young kids, and the young kids need to be properly educated on what to do when you're stopped by a police officer and what not to do. So I want to thank our chief, thank our city administrator for giving him a shout out for a great job.
Thank you. And Stephen was going to be next, but it looks like he left, so if he circles back, we'll call on him. Robert Lacoste.
Hello, council members. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Bob Lacoste. I only live about a mile down the road. And I worked for General Motors in finance for a while. And since I retired in '84, I've become involved in various aspects of our city government. I've been in this room many times working for the clerk's office for elections and everything like that. And then I got involved in a golf course, City Farmington Golf Course, and that course is involved with the Caustic Center. And now currently I'm involved with the Caustic Center running a bridge program. And all that means is I'm just old, you know. But as a matter of fact, I remember when Councilman Dwyer had a little darker hair. It goes back. We're glad to see you on the board. The only reason I'm coming here is I heard that you were, we have heard for some time through the rumor mill that you folks were going to look at the Caustic Center and have a meeting, or not have a meeting, but walk around and all that kind of stuff. Rumor mill flies around, a lot around with the old folks and everything. And like the lady who spoke before me, I thought, you know what, I'll stand up and just give you some perspective of what I know over all these years of working with the Caustic Center. And is we are old folks. You know, let's face it, average Caustic Center person there is somewhere from 50 into the 80s and everything. And we just hope that what you decide to do with regard to the Hawk or Caustic Center, and I know it's going to come down to the money, that's the main thing, is that you do strongly consider what you need to do to serve the old folks there, which means access to different places, you can't go upstairs, all kinds of things like that. We really, really appreciate what the council and the city is doing for the old people, senior citizens cause. And thank you very much for that. And I repeat, thank you very much for hearing me out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that is the end of the blue cards we have received this evening. Next item is the city attorney report, please.
Yes, you should have all received my report, and it is complete and current.
Thank you. That then takes us to item 21, which is a closed session, so we will need to clear the council chamber. This is consideration of approval to enter into a closed session to consider and discuss attorney-client written communications from the city attorney under Section 8(1)H of the Open Meetings Act and settlement strategy in connection with pending litigation under Section 8(1)E of the Open Meetings Act and relating to the case of Olson v. Farmington Hills Golf Club et al., Oakland County Circuit Case number 2023-77-NO. And when our closed session has ended, we will return to open session to take action if needed, or otherwise to close the meeting. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
So moved and support. Okay, yes.
For the record, that is the motion as presented by the mayor when introducing this item for the record.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. And do we need a roll call vote to go into closed session?
Yes.
Okay?
Council members Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are in closed session. We ask that you please leave the council chamber.